Today I want to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles X. So, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition was developed by Monolith Soft and published by Nintendo. It was released March 20th of this year, 2025, and it was amazing. So this is actually a remaster. There's more content. I think it's a remaster. Maybe it's a port with extra. I don't exactly know. But the original was released in 2015 on the Wii U, and people have been wanting this one for a while. The Wii U was a flop for Nintendo, which everybody knows at this point. So over the course of the Nintendo Switch's lifespan, Nintendo has continually added or ported titles that were released on the Wii U to Switch. We've got tons and tons and tons of stuff that was released on the Wii U that is over on Switch now. You had Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, you had Pikmin 3, you had Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, you have Xenoblade X. Like there's so many games that were released on the Wii U that have now been ported over. And Xenoblade Chronicles X was one of the last few that people were wanting. I think the last two that people are wanting on the Switch, which I don't know if we'll ever get at this point with the Switch 2 coming out and whatnot. But people wanted Zelda Wind Waker HD and Zelda Twilight Princess HD. So anyway, going back to Xenoblade Chronicles X, we finally got it. We got the port, the remaster, whatever this is, we got it. And it is amazing. I've been a fan of the Xenoblade Chronicles series for probably the last 3 or 4 years. Cole got me to play Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one, the Definitive Edition, which is also on Switch, and that was amazing. It's I believe that one's a remaster with extra content, and it was incredible. Such a good experience. I love the story, I love the combat, I love the world, I love the exploration and the collecting. Everything about it just clicked for me. Then I think it was maybe less than a year later or even a few months after that. I can't remember. But I jumped into Xenoblade Chronicles 2, fell in love with that game. And then after that, I played Xenoblade Chronicles 3, fell in love with that game. And then I was going to play this year Xenoblade Chronicles X I was going to borrow Cole's copy and play it on Thane's Wii U. But I didn't because it got announced that it was going to get ported to Switch with the Definitive Edition, and I was so stoked when I heard that. So I didn't play it on the Wii U. I waited for it to come out on Switch, and then Cole and I bought it day one. Thane actually bought it day one as well, and all three of us jumped in and played this game, and I immediately fell in love with it. I fell in love with, first off, I had to create my character, which I always enjoy character creators. Although in a game like this, like your character sucks for the story. They don't really do much. They don't talk. They emote and show emotion on their faces and whatnot. But for all intents and purposes of the story, your character is not really the main character. You're more so just a audience member that you get to control and whatnot. So anyway, that is probably like my first real, not issue, but like kind of disappointing part of Xenoblade Chronicles X is the story is just okay. Like, it wasn't my favorite at all. It's kind of a nothing burger compared to the other games. There's cool moments and there's cool aspects in the story itself, but the story of Xenoblade Chronicles X didn't really grab me or wasn't the driving factor for me to continue playing the game. It was just fine. It was there. Like, you could go play story missions, and there's 13 chapters, which chapter 13 being the DLC, which actually was really good story-wise. But of those 13 chapter story main missions, I never was compelled at all to, I need to go do these. I had more fun playing with the side missions and doing side quests and the affinity missions where you get to learn about other characters, because that was the more interesting part about it. Spoilers here for some of the side quests, but I did a side quest where there was a guy that fell in love with an alien. And I guess a quick story, or bringing you up to date on what the story of Xenoblade Chronicles X is Earth is destroyed, and we were on a ship called the White Whale. We crash landed, and now we are on this alien world. So anyway, this human dude falls in love with this alien chick, and I got to go through and do the story and interact with both of those, and then I had to talk to the dad, and then anyway, they end up getting married and the dad's still super pissed about it. There's stuff like that. Or there was another mission where this guy was like, hey, I need you to go kill these baby monsters. And so I go and I find a bunch of these little baby monsters, and I didn't really think twice about it. I just went and slaughtered them all. And then the mom comes out after you kill the babies, and then I killed the mom too. And I went back to talk to the guy, and he's like, bro, you just killed a bunch of babies, man. What the F? I also found out that if you don't kill the babies, that guy ends up dying by those babies that grow up later. So anyway, it's that kind of stuff was really fun. There was like a time traveling one, I think, specifically. They kind of rip on, not rip on, they riff off of Back to the Future with like two science guys making a DeLorean. So anyway, there was like a lot of the characters I didn't really care about, but some of them were really fun. And you get to do a lot of side quests for the different characters. Some of them are required to progress the story, so they're not really side quests, they're more main quests, even though it's under the guise of a side quest. You also got heart-to-heart moments, which were pretty fun. Some of them were cool, some of them weren't. One annoying thing with the heart-to-hearts is a lot of them required you to have an animal, whether it be a dog or a cat. I found a cat right away, right at the very early beginnings of the game, but then I could never figure out how to get a dog until I ended up watching a YouTube video talking about how to get a dog. Well, there's a board that you can go accept basic missions. So you got like 3 types of missions, or 4 rather. You've got the main missions, which are red. You've got the affinity missions, which are like an orangey, brown, gold looking color. And then you've got side quests, which are green. And then you've got the basic missions, which are blue. To find a dog, you had to do basic missions. And throughout the entirety of my playthrough, I was constantly doing these basic missions, and I would always go back to the board and accept them. Well, eventually you're going to get a basic mission that will reward you with the dog. Like, it's a mission where you actually have to go out and find a dog. But I was like 50 or 60 hours into the game when I finally got one of those. Because after I learned how to get one, I just went and did a ton of the blue missions, and eventually one popped up where I got rewarded with a beagle. So anyway, it was like, it's fun and cute that I get a dog or a cat. They don't do much other than it's a key for you to unlock heart-to-hearts. So I don't know, it was pretty annoying, and I wish that they would have given me a dog earlier, I guess. Minor complaints. So going back to the parts that I loved about this game was, for one, the world and exploration was incredible. There's 5 main areas that you can go to, and it was so much fun to explore. I loved going to areas and looking, being like, oh, I want to see how high I can climb. And I would just climb things, even though there's some areas that you cannot get to without getting a scale, which is a mech, and I'll talk about that later. But I would go and just explore. It's kind of got that Breath of the Wild format, which I can't really say Breath of the Wild format because Xenoblade Chronicles X came first, and Monolith made the game, which also worked on Breath of the Wild. There are very much so playing Xenoblade X, I'm like, oh, okay. I see a lot of the inspiration for Breath of the Wild here, which Xenoblade X was probably inspired by games like Far Cry and Skyrim and whatnot. The world was awesome. I loved finding the nav frontier stuff. It's towers for just to help you understand, I guess, a little bit better. But towers, you go unlock these towers. They actually serve different purposes, which I don't want to get into I don't want to get into every aspect of the game because this game is humongous. And I kind of want to just talk about my experience with it and stuff that I really liked. So just so you know, there's more to do with the nav frontier than just setting up your tower and whatnot. But I loved doing that and exploring. I loved finding all the different secrets. There's secret areas. I loved collecting items and doing the Collectopedia, which was a ton of fun and kind of a throwback to Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one. So that was really cool. But man, I was just in love with exploring, and kind of the sad thing is like, for the first 30 or 40 hours of Xenoblade X, I was addicted. I was all in, and I wanted more. But at some point, I had kind of explored everything. I had gotten most of the map unlocked, if not all of it. I eventually did get it all unlocked, but I got most of the map unlocked and visited pretty much every area that I could without a scale. I had seen basically every corner of the map, and then after I got a scale, I was able to go anywhere, which we'll get into the scales, but the scales are awesome. So anyway, after I had finished kind of exploring, I wasn't really addicted to the game anymore and kind of got my first real burnout of Xenoblade X. Like, this is probably one of the most pure open world games I've ever played, and like I said, for the first 30 or 40 hours, super cool, tons of fun. I loved it. I was jumping in, having a great time, was all over Xenoblade. Like, the world is incredible, it looks beautiful, exploring was fun, the music is amazing. Like, I am just hooked. I am hooked on this game. The combat was super fun. You get guns and swords, and there's different ways to build your character. It was more Xenoblade, and I was just loving it. But like I said, I kind of got burnt out after I had discovered most of the world. At some point, you get a scale, which is cool, and then you get to play more DLC mission stuff, which you unlock what's called the Halsfrag, which was super cool. It's a very broken mech, and at some point, the Halsfrag can turn into a jet and fly around, and that was so dope. And honestly, Monolith is probably the greatest video game developer, especially for the Switch, because everybody always complains how underpowered the Switch is, and it's just dog dookie at points. I understand, but Monolith has found a way to hack that, where you get into the Halsfrag and you're flying around in this jet, and there are no loading screens, there's no buffering, there's no frame rate drops. It just works perfectly. There are some sceneries in this game that are gorgeous, but then you look down on the ground and realize, oh, I'm walking on N64 textures. But anyway, Monolith does a good job of trying to like hide stuff like that, but also giving you just visual spectacles to look at with your eyeballs. And it was so much fun. Like I said, exploration was probably my favorite part of the game. Now, getting into the combat and the character building is where, after I had gotten kind of burnt out, and I wasn't really engaging with most of the mechanics. Like, I engaged with a lot of them, but there are lots of other little nuanced things that come to character building and combat, especially Overdrive, that I didn't really understand. And I was probably at like hour 60 when I started watching videos from Anel. He's like the Xenoblade guy on how to play the games. And I realized how I wasn't getting the most out of, for one, my character build, but also combat in and of itself. Overdrive is incredibly broken, and after I learned how to use it, I started to understand, oh, I see how broken this really is. Because, yeah, the combat in Xenoblade Chronicles X is really good, and you can get the big number, and you can do it without dying. You can do it without even getting touched. So that is a big part of the game that if I ever replay Xenoblade, I'm going to go back and watch Anel's videos and really learn how to build my character correctly and how to do the combat correctly. Because after I learned how, I wasn't really good at it. I started to understand a little bit better, but there's ways that you can go about doing it, like I said, where you can't even get touched. You're killing monsters so fast, and you're doing it in the most badass way possible. So really, that is like probably the biggest aspect of this game that it just didn't click with me right away, and it was pretty much too late when I started to get into it. It kind of gave me a second wind of like, okay, I want to try and level up and build my character correctly and go do combat and fight some super bosses. It was too late at that point. I was kind of burnt out. I wanted to just bum rush the story and be done because I'd explored all the world. I had built my character good enough that I could just whack things until they died. But also, after I got a scale, I just did scale combat, and I don't know, I just killed things a lot faster in my mech. So I would just fight in my mech instead of on the ground. After I beat the game, I mean, you get into the DLC, and that was really fun, doing DLC stuff. The story's a lot better in the DLC. I guess another thing that I didn't really like about this one, and it's not even that, just another thing that comes with this type of game, because this is supposed to be kind of like a single-player MMO game, is the main content, like the main story, isn't really the meat and potatoes of these types of games. The meat and potatoes is, for one, the exploration, but the character building, And also the side quests. So many side quests. There are so many side quests in this game. The pacing for me, I guess I would hit walls because I would do a ton of side quests and I'd be the recommended level that the game would say, be this level before you progress the story. But I would just get dunked on, or I'd hit a wall and I would get stuck. And I didn't want to go out and do 1,000 more side quests because there are so many, and I did a ton. I did so many side quests. I put 77 hours into this game, and I know that's on the lower end. I think you could easily put 100 hours into this game, no sweat. And yeah, I don't know. I got to the point to where I didn't want to do side quests anymore, and I got burnt out, and I just looked up how to farm XP and go cheese things. And I did that. I leveled up. I started building broken mechs, and I tried to mess with my character a little bit more. But yeah, this was the first Xenoblade game in the Chronicles series that I've played, so 1, 2, and 3, now X, that I had to go out and actively grind to level up in order to progress the story. Once again, if I would have just spent another 30 or 40 hours doing all the side content, I would have been leveled up. But like I said, like, one of my driving factors for playing the game was exploration and seeing all the monsters and areas and different things and collectibles and whatnot. And after I had done that, I mean, obviously I didn't get everything, but I unlocked every Nav Frontier tower. I got a lot of the map. Like, when you pull up the map, you can see all the different coordinates on the map saying, like, oh, there's a boss here you could kill, there's a secret item here that you can find, there's a side quest here that you can do. Like, I had done a good chunk of those, and it was fun, but once I had done it all, I was kind of burnt out, and I didn't really want to just go spend another 30 hours doing side content. So I had figured out how to level up quickly. I had maxed out every single class, because when you're leveling up quickly, that's what happens. You can max out the classes incredibly fast. So I don't know. It's definitely my fault for not engaging with how much content this game has to offer, especially when it came to the character building and the overdrive aspect of the combat. It was too late for me after I had learned more about it, and I was burnt out. So like I said, if I go back to Xenoblade Chronicles X and ever replay this game or play through it again, and let's say in 5 or 6 years they release Xenoblade Chronicles X2, and I go back and want to play this game and refresh, I want to engage more with the building of my character aspects, because there's lots of things that you can do. There's different armor pieces, there's different things that you can put on your armors, and different stat buffs and whatnot, and there's different arts and skills, and there's so much. Like, it's overwhelming, and probably why I didn't engage with it, especially in the beginning. It was too much. But when it comes to a game like this, that is the meat and potatoes of the game, is building your character. So I definitely missed out on that portion of the game. But like I said, I put 77 hours into this, and I had a lot of fun. Like, it was probably 40 or 50 hours of pure bliss. And then after that, it was more so me just continuing to play the game because I wanted to finish it and see it all the way through. So it's fun. I love Xenoblade Chronicles X, but if I had to rate it compared to the other Xenoblade games, it's probably the lowest on the list. Oh man, I don't even know how I would rate it. Probably 2, 3, 1, maybe 2, 1, 3, 2. 2's probably my favorite, but I don't know. I need to go back through and replay all those games. But I would say Xenoblade Chronicles X, the first 40 or 50 hours, it was number 1 for me, but after that, it slowly started to drop for me. And I would say that, yeah, it's probably my least favorite Xenoblade game, but it is still an incredible video game. Like, if I had to rank it, it would be like Xenoblade game, it's probably like a 7.5 or an 8. But as a video game, it is a 10. Like, this is awesome. This is an incredible experience, and I enjoyed my time thoroughly with it. But once again, I just got burnt out. So, I don't know. That's kind of my initial thoughts on Xenoblade Chronicles X. I think it is a fantastic video game. It's not my favorite Xenoblade game, but I had a ton of fun with it. The exploration in an open world is incredible. The visuals are incredible. The music is so freaking good, man. Like, the music is so hype, and it's different, but also the same. It feels so much different than base Xenoblade games, but it also still feels like it should be in the Xenoblade world. So I don't know. I really like this game. It's not my favorite Xenoblade game, but I enjoyed it. It's a fantastic video game. For anybody that wants to give it a shot, I would recommend it. But if you're going to play this game, the only but here is learn how to build your character properly and learn how to do overdrive. And learn it early on, because I think that's going to make the game a lot better for you. You're going to have a lot more fun that way, and it is a big aspect of the game. There's also an online mode that I didn't really mess with, which I wish I kind of would have, because you can go do like boss battles or raids with buddies, so that probably would make it even more fun. So I don't know. Anyway, that is it. That is my thoughts on Xenoblade Chronicles X. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on Xenoblade X. Did I play the game wrong? Do you hate the game? Is this game a 10 out of 10 masterpiece and I'm just stupid? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep it rad.